Hello and welcome back everybody, I'm Aytoo, and if you're watching this video, it probably means that you want to get yourself on a motorbike. So we all know you are going to get on it. The next question is how. So I put together this video as a little guide to all the different licenses that the UK has to offer, and the best way to spend your time and money to get yourself on the bike that you want to ride. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. So today I'll be riding the Pillon 401, which is an excellent little Aytoo bike. In this video I'll be going through the different licenses that the UK has to offer, what age groups they generally apply to, and the best way to get each one, and sort of the pros and cons of each license. All the information in this video has been memorized, so if there's anything that's wrong or you might suspect is wrong, then please correct it in the comments below so that everyone has the most up-to-date information possible. So we're going to start off with the 16-year-olds, the youths, the kids who want to get on a moped, and what you can do is a CBT, which stands for Compulsory Basic Training. That will entitle you to ride a moped of up to 50cc until the age of 17, where you're automatically upgraded to ride a 125cc motorbike. Now I did start on that, and I had a 2-stroke 50, and that was quite adequate for a 16-year-old. So what is a CBT? A CBT is typically 1 day of training that costs anywhere from £100 to £150, and it's not really a test, it's more just an assessment to make sure that you'll be safe on the road. So good things to know before you go into one would be your highway code, general road etiquette, and a bit of common sense really. They're quite hard to fail, but it does happen and it can be disheartening. So if you do fail CBT, they are pretty cheap compared to other tests, and you can just sort of get back on one as soon as possible. You can also do a moped license at 16, which allows you to ride a moped like in perpetuity, because CBTs only last 2 years before you have to renew them. So you can do a full license, but there's not much point because you wait a year and you can do the A1, which I'll get onto in a sec. So you're 17, you're allowed on a 125 straight away. What's the best option? Well, you can do a CBT again and ride that for 2 years. You just can't carry any pillions. So that's quite a good option, and that's what most people do. But you can also do a thing called the A1 test, which involves you having to do a theory test and a practical test. I believe you might have to do 2 practicals, where one's an obstacle course and then one's an on-road one. But I haven't done it myself, so I don't know for certain. The A1's pretty good if you know you just want to ride 125s and you want to carry a pillion. Your best option is probably sticking with the CBT at 17 as well, and that gives you, yet again, 2 years to really decide what you want to do. Next up, we have the Aytoo license, which I think is quite a popular license among young riders, because it gives you an entry to bigger bikes at quite an early age, and it sort of really lets you experience what real motorcycling feels like. But Aytoo means you can ride bikes of up to 47 horsepower or 35 kilowatts. Now that does include motorbikes that have been restricted down to 35 kilowatts, but the maximum they can be restricted by is 50%, so anything over 70 kilowatts typically can't be restricted to an Aytoo license. So you can't get a Ducati, put a restrictor on it and ride that as an Aytoo bike. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't even be able to insure something like that as a young rider unless you're a millionaire. What I did is I went for a bike that fits perfectly in the Aytoo category without being restricted, and I think that's a great place to start if you're not too confident on bigger bikes, because you've only ever ridden something small and you don't want to rip your face off. to get an Aytoo bike, what you must do is a theory test, which is very similar to the car theory test, if any of you have done it. And then you have to complete 2 practical tests. One is an obstacle avoidance course on a closed car park, and then the other is an on-road practical test where you have to prove that you can drive safely in a real-world environment. In all honesty, it's quite expensive to do so. For me, it cost me about £1,200 to do mine, because you have to pay for about a week's worth of solid training, plus a test, plus any retests if you fail the first one. And it's challenging with retests because you have to pass all 3, otherwise they won't let you on the road. You can get an Aytoo license from the age of, I think it's 19. So you're still a teenager when you can get an Aytoo license, which makes it quite desirable because, yeah, you're just young and you can ride bikes. Now this is a license I actually have currently, and I have to say it has been amazing. I love my Aytoo bike. And if you're under the age of 24, I'd say probably under the age of 21, that's the best time to go for your Aytoo license. Okay, and then we have the A license options. So there's actually 2 ways you can get your A license, and the first way would be coming off of your A2. So if you have your A2 license and you're under the age of 24, if you keep that license for 2 years, you're automatically eligible to go apply for the A license test. Now, I read that you don't actually have to do another theory test, but I do think you have to do another obstacle avoidance test. So bear that in mind when you book yours. What this means is, if you're 19 and you have an Aytoo license for 2 years, at the age of 21, you can theoretically get on a full A license bike, which I think is pretty cool. The only issue is, you do have to pay the test again, and you might have to pay for lessons. So effectively, you might be spending about another grand just to ride something, you know, 200 cc's bigger, potentially. And then lastly, the final way to get an A license is a direct access course. And this means you can go from 0 experience ever riding a bike to getting on any CC whatsoever past the age of 24. What you do is you turn 24, you apply for a direct access scheme course, and what they'll do is they put you on a CBT on the first day, and then once you pass that, I think you can ride an A bike with an instructor for as many days as it takes for you to sort of do your test. And then after that, you have no restrictions and you can just get on anything. I think they cost a little bit more than a A2 license course would cost, because you got the addition of a CBT, and if you've never touched a motorbike, then you're probably going to be a bit more wary of them and have less confidence. I'd say it's definitely the best option to go for if you're over 24 and you know you want to ride motorbikes. But there's no harm in just getting a CBT first and having a year or 2 just to get used to what it feels like to be on the road, doing all the mirror checks you have to do, and just getting used to it. But I wouldn't go for an A2 license if you're 24, because an A2 bike and the lower CC A bike feel very similar. In fact, when I did my test, I did it on a restricted A bike, and my instructor said it was actually quicker than the unrestricted version at lower speeds. Yeah, I've basically done an A license, but I'm still restricted at this point. So, there you go, that is all the options, and I'm just going to tell you my experience now, what I've done, and sort of what I would recommend, maybe if I do some things different. So I started riding bikes at 16, and I did my CBT, and I was on a 2-stroke 50cc. Now at 16, that was crazy to me. I'd never ridden anything motorized before. It was a geared bike as well, so it taught me gears. and I'd say that was like a really good option at the time. And the second I turned 17, I hopped on a 125 two-stroke, and that's where things sort of got real for me. Like, oh yeah, I love motorbikes, this is what I want to do. I had my CBT for 2 years, it expired, and then I saved up enough money to do another one because I wanted to keep riding that 125 two-stroke. So I had about 3 years on a 125, and for me actually that was a really good amount of power, especially because it was two-stroke. I never felt like I was holding up the road or anything. I could get in front of cars, and as a young rider I think that was perfectly acceptable. I got the Aytoo license when I was 21, and that's what I'm still on right now. That has been the shining moment for me. Getting on an Aytoo bike has been the most fun I've ever had. Oh, actually, look, there's some people doing some CBT training right there. I reckon that's Steve. Good old Steve. He taught me to do mine. Ride On. If you're in the New Forest or anything, check out Ride On. He is the best teacher / instructor there is for motorbikes. I probably wouldn't recommend getting on a bike at 16, personally. I think if you can wait the extra year, you're slightly more mature, and then there'll be more people your age riding 125s that you can sort of connect with. There's more options. 125s are cheaper to buy generally than 50cc's because they're more common, and there's more people doing it. I do sort of wish I did my Aytoo at 19, just so that by now I could be on a full unrestricted bike, because I have the need for speed currently. If you have the time and the money at 19 to get an Aytoo, I suggest you just go do it, because being able to ride an unrestricted bike at such an early age, I think that would be awesome, and I do just wish that I was able to do that right now. And as for the A license, I think I'm definitely going to go get it when I can afford it. The issue is the cost with a lot of these things. It's a lot of money to buy a motorbike, it's a lot of money to get the license, and it's a lot of money to get the insurance. So the less tests you can buy, sort of the better. Once you got your full license, that's it, there's nothing else. And you can turn into an old biker at the age of 60 and enjoy all the same bikes that you could today. I think I've covered everything now. I may have waffled a little bit, but if you enjoyed this video, I would really like it if you politely hit that like button, and if you commented down below, because I've just started out doing YouTube and I've had so much support already. All your comments have been lovely, so I'd just love to get your feedback. And lastly, I want you to have a nice day. That's all. Cheers guys, bye bye.